Hi guys,
Hello.
Sifu Mark here, and I have to welcome you back to Wynter Tai Chats. Before we get into anything though, this is really getting onto my mind. I really need for you all to please press that like button. Please press that subscribe button. And also throw me some comments and share the video as well. It all helps out the channel, right? So let's get into it. This chat is with someone who literally puts function into the martial arts, serving as a bodyguard for the better part of 10 years. He puts the lessons he's learned in the Mogun to test every single day for true efficacy. As a top student of the late Grandmaster Henry Puyi, he is an authority in the field of Hakka martial arts with a specification in Juklum, Southern Praying Mantis. Please welcome Sifu Tommy Quan. How are you doing today, sir?
Good, sir. And thank you. Thank you for having me, Sifu Mark. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for accommodating. I just threw out a date and a time at you, and you're like, "Yeah, I can do that. I can fit it in." So, thank you very much for accommodating me, Seafood One. So let's go ahead and get this interview on the way, so I can get out of your hair. Sorry. So let's go ahead with that first question. How did you get started in the martial arts?
So I migrated from Hong Kong when I was 2 months old. And when I came over here, my grandpa, he had served in the US Army, and then but he opened a business, a grocery store, like a lot of the early immigrants. And it was in a bad part of town. So I was about to start school, and things happened, and I have a Sifu. They found me a Sifu. And at 5, I started training this system called Tamga Samjin, which is some people refer to as old style Hungar. So from there, it was about 4 or 5 years. But then my grandpa made me quit because I was getting a little too many childhood fights. And yeah, that's where it all started. And then throughout the years, I dabbled into certain systems, and later on, I wasn't the type of guy that was like a scholar. I wasn't, so I hung out in the streets a lot. I'm not proud of it, but and on the streets, your value at the time, we didn't settle things with guns and knives. We settled it the old way, just two guys going at it. So I've always continued different martial arts, trying to keep that status. So and then it just became a passion for me, because everything that I had to do up to this point had something related to do with martial arts. So I needed martial arts in my life to keep where I'm at that particular time in life. So.
All right. So you had stated you started with Chamga Samjin. You had said
Got something, yeah.
Chamga Samjin. All right.
Yeah.
And then where did you progress to after that? Or did you get into Southern Praying Mantis right after that, or
No,
did you have
I
something between?
so in between. So I didn't start Southern Mantis to my late 20s or maybe early 30s. I met my Sifu in 91, but I didn't start studying with him till 94. But in between all those years, I dabbed a little into Shotokan. Then I went to Wing Chun for a little bit, Choi Lei Fut. But I never found that one thing that I was looking for. The one thing, right? I saw my Sifu at a tournament, a family, a tong event, online tong event. It was like a private demo of all the, at the time, all the famous Sifus in America. And I looked at my Sifu doing sudden Mantis. I didn't understand how that would work. At least from his demonstration, because it looked like in those old Chinese movies, it was like those zombies just walking around, hopping around. I didn't understand. Till '94, when some events happened, but because my family's my grandpa, my dad was so involved in the different family associations, and Lam Sang, my Sikong Lam Sang, he was famous among the Tongs, right? Everyone knew about him. My Sifu, he started advertising, saying that he was a student of him, and my dad was, hey, you need to go learn from this guy. My dad loved martial arts, but because of his health, by that time he had both his legs amputated. And so my dad took me over there, and they talked about their different associations with different families, and then my Sifu told me, well, come back this day, because at the time when I first saw him, the school wasn't even finished built yet. And so in the beginning I did for my dad, but in my mind I was like, do I really want to learn from this guy? Because I already saw him do that form that I didn't understand. And the first day that I saw him, he was in his pajamas and he was just chain smoking. And I'm like, I don't know. But I came back that day, and he goes, the date that he asked me to. And he goes, oh, I heard about you. You've studied this, you've done a little Hungar, blah, 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 blah. Some people talked about you. I hear in circles. And so, yeah, I've done this. And he goes, oh, your Kung Fu must be pretty good. And because I had such an ego, right? I go, yeah, I think pretty good. And he goes, well, why don't you shoot me a punch? And I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy pickings, right? And that's the worst ass kicking I've ever had. And from that day on, it was a 30-year journey. Today he died. So that's most of my martial arts history.
Wow. And that's all with Grandmaster Henry Pudi. All right. That is absolutely awesome. That's absolutely awesome. So you were with him all the way up until the day he died.
Yeah. And then what's weird is, so like I told you, we have family restaurants. And we've always had Kung Fu masters work for us as chefs, because whenever they did something that they needed to get away from, you can always go to another city and have a job as a Chinese chef. So I had the privilege of having a few Chinese masters, and then one of them was Alay. So he was one of Lam Sang's students too. He was in that group with Jinfu Mark and Ho Dun and them. So I always got a little bit from him, a little bit from my Sifu, but they never got along. They didn't like each other. I don't know why. Probably because of politics. So yeah, that's the weird thing. It's just like a full circle. Life's weird. So.
Mm-hmm. You want to hear something weird, Tommy? You want to hear how full circle life comes, right? My Sifu, right, Richard Chin, right? he was a junior to Jin Funmark. So my Sifu was on the Lamsang too.
Yeah, yeah. And then I think he has a relative called Tommy, right?
Richard Chin.
Yeah. Does he have
I'm
a cousin that also learned with him by the name of Tommy?
I'm not too sure about, but I do know he wasn't what he was with him when he was younger, in like a kid, right? So and then after that, my Sifu went into Bakme and then into Jauga, and now I'm learning Bakme from him.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So that's how full circle things just come around,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So my Sifu also knew your Sifu.
Yeah.
Not too well, but he says he knew of him very well.
Yeah, it's weird, man, how life are like different pieces of puzzles, right? And then sometimes pieces just fit together, It's weird.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. So, you being a direct student of another direct student of Sifu Lamsang, I have a very good idea that you have your own perspective of this question. In your opinion, what is Southern Praying Mantis?
So, there's two theories that are out there. There's one theory that Southern Mantis, why they called it Southern Mantis, was to disguise the art from whatever that rebellion was. But does it actually mimic a mantis? So there's two sides to that, right? When you get deeper into it, it's more like a snake, right? The hands take on the snake, but the structure is the tiêu thông tiếp quật, how you align the spinal and manipulate the spinal to create different energies. Might and the rooting definitely might resemble mantis. If we leave the name of Sun Mantis out, what I think is the actual art is our branch is so unique, right? That it's all about developing developing maximum energy at the shortest distance, to be able to generate that kind of impact. Because again, the way I was taught, Sun Mantis is a close quarter system. And when I mean close quarters, our Sifu used to find like old where you put quarters in and you use the telephones on the streets, and we would go both in there. You'll play with them in there. So that's how close quarters it is. So, but the hooks, right? You have different hooks, controls that might mimic a mantis. And it's, you'll get a better picture of it actually feeling it. As far as what it is, it's different. Haka arts are different, right? Because most Haka arts, you don't have the luxury of generating the area to create the momentum. You're like toilet foot, for example, you got a lot of torque. You got a lot of momentum energy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mantis, you generate the same amount of energy, but the structure contains that energy. So, understanding the structure of tiêu thùng tiếp quật sao gây bụi, that's a major difference that I've seen, or at least the difference that from all the styles that I've dabbed into. And again, it's just about when you close that gap, you don't have the luxury, because you're up here close and you're in the gap, so you don't have the luxury of cocking back and rewinding and let one go. So from you're gonna deliver all these short energy, short strikes that have to have the same impact or more than any of these longer swinging motions. So and then the way my Sifu teaches, we not only have two bridges, right? We have Sambankyu. So you're in so close where your leg is your third arm, is your third bridge. And with that, you're also contacting their shin or their hip or whatever. And you have an additional bridge that can feel, right? Because if the guy's going to come with right, he's going to sink his weight one way, and then that shin's going to go a certain way. If he's going to pull for the left, it's going to do something else. So your leg's even another feeling arm. So it's to me, I mean, I'm fascinated with this art, especially with how to generate the power. And it's really simple. It's really simple to generate the power. You're doing the same motions as toilet foot, momentum energy, but because of your structure, you do the gut, your mapo, it contains it. You only can go so far. You still go toilet foot, you go balls to walls as fast as you want this way. But once you design that structure, I still go that way, but my structure keeps it in. My internals, my positioning of the tiêu thùng tiếp quật. So it's an awesome system to me. That's the best I can describe it, you know. I mean,
close quarters.
Yes, very close quarters. And then the thing is that what I see in a lot of martial arts is that they teach you 2 points. Once you get in that close quarters, you do T-style, whatever. But no one show. What is fascinating about it is what my Sifu drilled is how to get to that point. So with covering all your gates. So and then after making the contact, all that molecule, all that controlling their rotation, controlling their movement or feeling their movement, that was secondary. So we have poetry in our system is to make the contact first, then control, then hit. There's a Chinese poetry. It means I'm not gonna move till you move, but once you move, I'm gonna move. So that's my picture of what Southern Mantis is. And the energies, right? You see a mantis, the way a mantis moves, the way the energy of the mantis strikes is something that is similar with the way we strike, because we don't always open up when we strike. You know, our elbows are like a mantis. It's still tucked in. So, you know, that's for me, that's the best I can describe it. There's some weird things that happen, you know. Um, there's a spiritual practice that we do. I got pictures on Facebook. You can pull it up. I'll be doing my Chico set in the morning, and three mantises just land on my head. So who knows, man? It has something to do with, you know, that realm.
It has that energy.
Yeah, it has that energy. So
It definitely does. It definitely does. So, as you're describing the close quarters attributes of Southern Praying Mantis, it just brings to mind, delving into a little bit into the history. Would you say, right, since you are very well versed in Southern Praying Mantis, the martial art kind of evolved around the way how they live? Hakka community is like a gated building, like a domish kind of building, right? And the hallways and the pathways are really narrow. So when people have to pass by, and they get into scuffles and they get into arguments in these small pathways, well, there's not much room for you to generate much power, so you have to get all of this very short power, right? And so all this power has to rely on your structure, your looking, right? So everything has to come out, and you have to be relaxed. So would you say that Southern Praying Mantis could definitely be born out of that kind of environment?
yes, definitely. Because you hear so many stories, right, from my Sifu telling stories how because even the Hakka people, when they attacked, right, you be in the crowd, you wouldn't know, they wouldn't come in groups, right? You would have one person, so far away from each other, and they would start attacking. I mean, and it's the art of surprise. And then think about it, right? How many people are going to expect that once they get in your face, there's going to be enough impact there to sit there, or what's really about Juklam. I don't know about other branches, Juklam. We have the junk, right? You have the elbow stuff, and that's the stuff that if you're crowded by 5 or 6 people, and you don't got the luxury of throwing your arm, but you do have the luxury of letting these elbows fly. And that's why, again, for me in my profession, why this art, for me, because I'm constantly, I have to separate my principal, the person I'm protecting, with multiple sources out there, or we might be going through we have to go through a crowd, right? And you don't have the luxury because it's not one-on-one. Sometimes you're dealing with 1-on-5. You never know, right? So instead of being out here and protecting my you're up here and tight, and you have the luxury. So I can see where that's coming from, because it makes perfect sense to me. There's different levels of our Jokulum, right? In the beginning stages, it's about one-on-one, right? And then my Sifu had us in the later stages where our training was 1 against 3, 1 against 5. So that's a different approach, right? So I can see that, right? That perspective of where it comes from, the Hakka heritage, and I'm pretty sure you've done your research. The Hakka were real secretive, right? That's why they have their own dialect. That's why they have their own cultural ceremonies that other Chinese don't even know what they're doing at the time, right? I mean, So look at most of the Hakka weapons; they're disguisable. The Hakka teal, where they carry the bucket water. That's a double-end staff. That's famous. Even Hungar has one. It's called the Traveler Staff, Hakka teal, right? So yeah, I can see where that's coming from.
All right. So let's get into that second part, right? Because you alluded to your profession.
Yeah.
So the second part of this question is, this is what I really want to hear from you, right? Is Juklam Southern Praying Mantis, is it effective, right? You being a professional bodyguard, you had alluded to that you do use it on your job.
Oh yes, I mean, for me, it 100% complements, because you're not just facing one point in a situation, right? You got multiple threats at times, and you got to protect whatever you're protecting. What gets you out of that trouble is that you can take care of each situation quick, right? With these small powers. Yet you're still being able to offer the coverage that you need to be covering. So it's all about that power generation in such a short distance, in such a close quarters, that you can literally, and the evasiveness, right? In our branch of Jokon, after you develop the power, right? Because my Sifu, well, the way he trained me was Sap Ni Ngang Gong. So you got 10 years to develop the power, because he's a firm believer the Kung Fu is not going to work if you don't have the power. The power is no use if you don't got the courage. Yat Dam Yi Lek Sam Kung Fu. So it has to take that course. The person can have all the power in the world, but if he don't got the courage, he don't got the confidence, he's not going to pull the trigger. If he's not willing to pull the trigger, he's not going to be able to utilize the Kung Fu. So understanding that, I mean, for me, my Sifu is real psychic too. You know, he'll do that thing at New Year's and tell you what's going to go on next year, blah, 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 blah. And he always told me. Because I really took good care of my Sifu. Because Tommy, whatever you spend on me, this Kung Fu is going to give you back tenfold. And the Kung Fu is one of the reasons why. One of my other part-time things is when I have time, I guard a certain prince here in Texas. And he's a martial art nut too. But that's how we got to know each other. And then he was so impressed with that short energy that he hires me at a real good price. You know, I mean, doing a day with him is like, I don't know, paying my dues for my Sifu for a year. So I mean, for me, there's no doubt. I've been held at gunpoint, and the guy was close. Right, this right here. And when you're at that position, two things, man. It's either me or you. I start flying right into his throat. And people know about this in Houston, and he was out. But you have to, again, it goes back to the Yat Dam Yi Lek Sam Kung Fu. You have to condition the mind to be able to fully put it all in on him. It's not something that you're proud of, but it's just, part of Kung Fu, part of work,
That is a very good answer. So you would say then definitely yes or no. Is Praying Mantis an effective system?
Yes, without a doubt.
All right.
I
love it, Sifu Tommy.
To be honest, right? All traditional Kung Fu, if it's coming from a source that is true, right? Every system should be effective. It's up to the individual. I know for sure every Hakka system that I've seen is effective. I know that. Now, it's up to the individual and how much the individual puts into it. Right? That's what I always tell my students. The system is proven. Southern Mantis is proven. Right? Bak Mei is proven. You had Zheng Lai Chun that ran the Hong Kong streets. Well, what? Well, Bak Mei. You know, they're proven techniques. It's up to the individual that practices and embraces that art. How much you put into it determines how effective it is. It's not the art's problem. It's how much you put into it. That you know, because nowadays, you know, it's hard. You know, um, especially my son. My son is he trains at one of the UFC training centers here before all the fights. He's a sparring partner for a lot of the UFC guys. So for him, right, he has a quick fix. I'm not saying MMA is not good. It's damn good, right? But Chinese kung fu, whatever it is, it's just as good. But we have to look back at these guys that are fighting professionally are in that gym 10 hours a day. Now you got this guy that maybe does 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day of kung fu. How is that going to be even at the same level as the guy that's putting in 10 and 12 hours a day? That's putting 4 hours
No
of that.
comparison.
Right. So it's up to the person, right? The system there is not inferior to another art. It's not inferior to boxing. It's not inferior to MMA. I'm a firm believer of that. It's the individual. Now, you take two guys that put equal enough time, 12, 13 hours a day. They put their 2 hours condition. They put the hours of Qigong. They put their hours of sparring, reaction training, you know, iron body training, iron shirt training. They do the Qigong. You got someone like that, I guarantee you, that puts that much time in it, they're going to hang with guys from the MMA group. I have no disrespect for them because they're all martial artists. But sometimes we got to be honest. Are the Chinese kung fu practitioners now, are they putting in 10, 12 hours a day? What you put into it is what the system's gonna give you. The systems are all been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's proven. It's combat proven. It's because of how society has evolved, right? You see, even my son, man, I tell him, he goes, let's be honest, I'll be 60 in 14 months, 15 months. I'm not in no condition to fight a UFC fighter, right? Let's just be honest about that. But he gets fired up for that moment when I'm playing with it, and I'm on them real quick, right? Just playing around. They're like, damn, OG, what the, you know? And little golf balls coming up, and they're like, how you do that? How you do that? And then I give him some medicine, and my son, he gets fired up. Get Dad, I want that. I said, I got these bags outside filled with rocks, not BBs, rocks. I'm gonna work on them. You know, okay. He'll do it maybe 1 day, 2 days. Oh, this shit hurts. No. You understand? No, MMA is good enough. So, I mean, it's about how much heart a person has, right? You gotta find that thing that grabs your heart by desire. I got to have that, and you have to value that, and then you have to chase that. You know, so, but as far as answering your question, I have no doubt that Southern Mantis or any traditional martial art, if you put the time in it, you're gonna reap the benefits.
Very well said. Very well said. Thank you very much, Sifu Tommy. So, all right, I'm going to jump back because you alluded to your son. When you said that your son said he wants to learn. Well, he wants to learn that short power that you had displayed, right? And then after you told him to go to the bag that's filled with rocks, after 2 days he's like, yo, that it hurts too much. Left no, can't do this no more, Dad. Right? So therein lies, as you were saying that, therein lies the actual definition of kung fu.
Right.
Hard work, right?
Hard,
Skill,
hard work. Right.
right? So since we know that that's exactly what Kung Fu means, what do you, Sifu Tommy, believe is the hardest part of developing Kung Fu?
Sifu Mark, if you're asking me to pinpoint one thing, I'm going to tell you right now, I can't. Because it doesn't matter what you train, what my teacher taught me. It might look easy. Yeah, if you do it once or twice. How do you push that easiness to a tough level? You start doing more repetitions. Or you start adding more strength, or you push yourself. There's nothing, from the way my Sifu taught me, there was nothing that I trained that was easier than the other, because he would push you to where that simple exercise would become exhausted, and you're like, by the time, oh, screw this, right? Whether it was through more force or through more repetitions, or even mental, where it becomes boring as hell. You got to push yourself. He pushes you. So to me, there's nothing. If you're training kung fu right, there should be nothing in your practice that comes easy. But if I had to pick one thing, if I had to really pick one thing, it would probably be my first 10 years. Because waking up, I followed my Sifu's recipe. 90% of his I had to follow it, because he had something. The amount of power he can generate was crazy. He'll be in our school. We have 20, 30 people throughout the years that have seen it. He generates so much energy. Fucking the pictures start falling off the walls. You start telling people this, they're gonna like, you're whack. You're bullshitting. But you had to be there to understand that. So I've always wanted to, number one, I always made it a goal. Cause I got I love my Sifu. I love him, and this is not saying out of no disrespect, but I always wanted to know him, because out of all the students, I took them probably the worst beating, and it's coming. The worst feeling is it's coming, but you still gotta there's nothing you can do. But because that drove me, so he always told me, you want to know me, you have to do this. So the hardest exercise was the iron, the iron belt, iron shirt thing, because you're just cranking. You're just cranking. That's a hour and a half exercise every morning of full tension, and then being able to go back to what he called homeostasis, where you go back to flatline, and then you got to regenerate and hold, and that was hard. And to wake up at you're young, you go out to clubs, and then 3 o'clock comes, especially my Sifu stayed with me throughout the years, so he'll wake you up. If you didn't wake up, he'll wake you up. Kick you in the bed, whatever. He's gonna wake you up. You're going outside with him. So if I had to pinpoint, the hardest thing was the development of that kind of power, that kind of 경한경, where you're just doing so much whole body closing, not just the arms, but you're grabbing whatever your hands are doing, you're grabbing the same with your heels, and that has to coordinate with the dantian, and it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, that's all training. That to me that sounds identical to training for Tan Tao Fan Sham. right? For the float, the sink, the spit
Oh
and the
yeah,
swallow.
yeah,
All of that comes from those exercises. Yeah.
yeah. And then that's Hakai right there, right? The four Fao Chum Tanto, and
Yeah.
then but making that work as one simultaneously. Of course we train the floating. Everyone knows how to float. Everyone knows how to ton. Everyone knows how to toe. Everyone knows how to chum. But to make that all work simultaneously at the second of impact, that's even another level. And that's one thing my Sifu, I loved him to death for that, because a lot of people can teach you Fao Chom Ton To, right?
Hmm.
But to show you how it works, that you shouldn't, you wham, you shouldn't, you shouldn't always punch it. He activates, locks you up with this Fao Chom Ton To, then he slowly explains to you, without the foul, there's no chum. Without the chum, you have to chum and ton at the same time. And then from the ton comes a natural toe, right? Not you coming here and then you pushing it out. So I mean, it's an awesome art, man. And I
It's
was blessed.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's very
awesome
good.
stuff. Yeah,
That's
awesome
awesome.
stuff.
That's awesome. I do have to agree with you. That is, what you had said before to answer the question. You're completely right. I so 100% agree with you, Sifu Tommy. Nothing in Kung Fu at first should be easy. Nothing. I
Nothing.
understand. If you're doing Kung Fu correctly, right? If you're learning it right, that is true. That is true. So let's go ahead and carry on to the next question there, Sifu Tommy, because I'm eager to hear this one as well. Even though we know that you have quite literally taken everything that you've learned from your Sifu in terms of martial arts and you apply them now to your profession, right? So, the fourth question, how has your training impacted your life?
Well, for me, one of the this might sound funny, but one of the greatest impacts it's had on me was a lot of people know my past. It's not something that I'm proud of, right? But I used martial arts in the wrong manner. Um, but what Kung Fu has given me is has turned me around 100%. Why? I didn't have the power that I have now. Honestly, the impact of what I can do now at this age is a lot greater than what I had in my 20s or 30s. And because of that, and my Sifu always told me, you're running in the wrong crowds. You're using Kung Fu in the wrong way. But Kung Fu is going to save your life. And it goes back to that event where I was held at gunpoint. And what I did to the guy, it really awakened me. Because I was dealt with a civil suit. Even though I was being robbed, I was getting dealt with a civil suit. Because supposedly the guy wouldn't be able to work again or whatever. So in that aspect, and in the aspect of the medicine, it has opened up a different side of me where I find gratitude when helping people or healing people, right? It's just the bad thing. It's hard to get some of the ingredients now, especially some of the illegal ingredients. because of the political situation with China right now. But yeah, it has helped me become probably a better husband, better father, um, a better son to my mom. Um, it's helped me in all aspects, you know. Being able to adapt to change, right? A lot of people practice martial arts, but they don't know how to adapt to change, because different people are going to come at you different ways. So in life, stuff don't go your way all the time, and doesn't go how you expect it all the time. But what Kung Fu does is helps you to get out of that situation the best way that you can at the time. So it's impacted me in those positive ways. But mainly my Sifu, especially, you know, humbling me, helping me to understand what humility is, right? Helping me to lose the ego. I don't think I would have ever gotten to this point or this skill set if I didn't lose that ego, if I didn't lose that humility. Because when you're there, you don't open up and receive and learn from even people with the worst that you would think that they have a lower skill set. They still have stuff to offer. But why do you think that they have a lower skill set? It's because your ego, right? But sometimes they have they have an angle to offer. So, you know, things like that have changed me. A lot of people, they're like, Tommy, you're not the guy that, you know, used to run Chinatown or whatever, you know. You're not that guy no more. So yeah. It's giving me a peace, you know. I'm sure you experienced some of that, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. Sifu Tommy. Very nice and very thorough answer. Thank you very much. So let's go ahead and move on. This one is a little bit more. It'll give you more food for thought, definitely.
Okay.
Right? So if you could teach the new generation of martial artists only one thing, philosophy or technique, what would it be?
Be philosophy. And then the philosophy would have two sides to it, right? We all hear it. Jun Si, Jun Do, Jun Kung Fu. So from a student side, right, you have to respect your teacher. You have to entrust in his teachings. But on the other side, the teacher has to be able to earn the student's trust, to earn the student's respect. It has to be the perfect yang. Jundo, respect the system, trust the system. You have to practice in that manner. If it doesn't work, you make it work. That philosophy, there has to be a reason why it's there, right? It's there in the modern world. Jun Si, Jun Do, Jun Kung Fu. What's that mean? You got to have that trust, that respect for others, for the people before you. You have to trust the system. In return, that's gonna reflect on more of the macro side of things, where you can take that home. You can take it, you know, with your social people, whatever. But you need to have that so that your kung fu can blossom. So that's what I would, because you see, you know, I'm in with these guys all the time at the gym, and I see a lot of fighters, and they're good fighters, man. But what do they lack from our culture? right? It's 真西真斗真功夫. That's
Sifu Tommy, that was such a great answer. Sifu Tommy, I'm sorry to cut you off. I had to write it down. Jun Si, Jundo, Jun Kung Fu.
yes.
That's
Yeah.
that is incredible. That is incredible. Have respect, right? Have respect for the system, and that will further your kung fu.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, because you got the second part. 好yan, 好yi, 心好功夫. That's you learn how to be a person. You learn how to have loyalty. Then you learn how to learn kung fu. So, that's a famous phrase in all traditional kung fu. That's why it's molam yaka. That's why it doesn't matter, right? All traditional kung fu, if they share the same ideology, what does that mean? All kung fu, all molam, one family. And we need
Very
that.
good.
We need that for the next generations to come. Right? You have to be one. You have to be one because it's not about all these subcategories of Hakka or Baxiulam or Nampai, whatever. It's all still part of the Chinese culture, the martial arts culture. And we're stronger in numbers versus before. I'm not going to make $1 million off of Kung Fu. But the earlier Sifus, right? What happened? Oh, this Sifu sucks. That Sifu sucks. Oh no, he's bullshitting. Blah, blah. Why? That did nothing for the families. Because everyone let greed take over and forget Molam. What the real reason is martial art. Not what we can get out of martial art on a monetary basis, but for true kung fu to survive, we have to support each other, back each other up, right?
Understand.
Correct each other. Hey, Tommy, you look like you're full of shit. Okay, then be open to it. It's not a ego thing, right? Again, that's why for you to keep progressing, and kung fu, we never stop. You always got to push yourself to the limit. Push yourself every day. There's a new limit every day. That's where the accomplishment comes. Once you're stagnant, man, that's it.
I hear that. That's great, Sifu Tommy. So, if you don't mind me asking, if you could tell me that saying one more time, you say.
真西真斗真功夫, right? To excel, you have to learn how to be a person. Learn loyalty. 心好功夫. Then you learn kung fu.
Absolutely incredible. That's absolutely incredible. I've through all of my years doing kung fu, I've never heard that saying myself. So thank you very much for teaching me that. Okay, so we're coming on to that last question with you, so I can get out of here because I know you were traveling earlier today. How can you be contacted? Someone sees you on this interview right now, Sifu Quan, and they say, I need to get in touch with him. How do they do that?
Okay, so we have a website. It's my Sifu's old website, ckfa.com, and my number's on there. And also, the address for school is there. I also posted it on my Facebook for the grand. That school is not a new school. So people that come, my Sifu, he gave me the school. He willed it to his 3 inheritors. So it's the same address, 6911 Bellaire. My phone number is on the website. Yeah, I can't answer my phone because of my work, but I usually try to get back. Send me a text, and I usually try to get back at ASAP as soon as I can.
Awesome. Contact information for Sifu Tommy Quan will be in the description down below. Also in the description down below will be a link for Fei Yue shoes. If you need Fei Yue shoes, go ahead and click the link down in the description down below. Get the best prices, get the best deals, all at Fei Yue Shoes. Sifu Quan, thank you very much for the time that you've taken to speak with me, sir. You've informed me about so much about the Southern Praying Mantis system and the Hakka systems on a whole, about the short power and everything, and how, you know, your particular brand of Juklam Praying Mantis goes with through your Sifu, the late Grandmaster Henry Puyi. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Stay in touch, brother.